Welcome to Cluecon Weekly. Join us every Wednesday to learn about the latest cutting-edge developments in the real-time communications industry. Cluecon Weekly is brought to you by FreeSWITCH Solutions. Get support and professional services directly from the creators of the FreeSWITCH open source project, solving your issues in the most efficient, stable, and scalable way possible. Get the FreeSWITCH advantage. Visit freeswitch.com. Also brought to you by Cluecon, the premier technology conference for developers by developers. Join us every summer in Chicago. Cluecon kicks off on Monday with our annual hackathon, The Coder Games, followed by 3 days of technology-rich presentations discussing telecom, WebRTC, and IoT from developers around the world. To learn more, visit cluecon.com or call 877-74-A-CLUE.
And welcome to Cluecon Weekly. Today is the 16th of May, 2018, and this week we're going to be joined by Mr. James Bodie, and he's going to be talking about dangerous demos. I think we're going to have some special guests also live from Elio World in Berlin, so you guys stand by for that. Let's welcome Miss Abby for the news. Abby, how are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing so great. Thank you for asking. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Cluecon Weekly. If you have any questions during the call, please comment in the YouTube, HipChat, or IRC channels, and we'll try to answer them during the call. So this year, Cluecon is going to be from July 23rd to July 26th, and you can register right now on Cluecon.com. And while you're registering, take advantage of our May deal by using the discount CC2018 May Flowers to get $200 off your registration. We'd also like to thank our friends at H-Tech for sponsoring Cluecon. This is their second year sponsoring, and we are so excited to have them back. Basic FreeSWITCH training and OpenSIPS training is going to be available at Cluecon 2018. But space is limited, so make sure that you register ASAP. You can visit the training page on Cluecon.com for more information and to register. If this episode of Cluecon Weekly inspires you to participate in James Bodie's dangerous demos at Cluecon 2018, you can email him at james.bodie@gmail.com to sign up. We also have some new challenges happening this year, so check out the Coder Games page on our Cluecon website. And be sure to check out our newsletter in the upcoming weeks, especially tomorrow. We are sending out some very exciting information about FS Blue, our cloud-hosted virtual machines. So for more information on that, you can visit the freeswitch.com products page. FreeSWITCH Solutions is also offering new live virtual training. You can learn basic FreeSWITCH operations from the comfort of your own home or office. Email training@freeswitch.com for more information. And if you have a question you'd like us to answer live on our community corner during our Cluecon Weekly episodes, you can tweet us with the hashtag CC. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the FreeSWITCH team. Thank you for watching. Back to you, Ken.
All right, thank you very much, Abby. So we're going to jump over to Michael Malbrutus and Mike Jarris for the Community Corner. Hey, guys, how you doing?
We're doing great. We're coming to you live from Berlin at Elio World. Today we have a question from the mailing list from Xenia Obenskaya, and her question is, why is FreeSWITCH sending a strange SDP response with the port of 0 and 19 as the payload type?
Alrighty, so when you see FreeSWITCH send a 0 port and a 19 payload type, that means that we are rejecting that entire M line for media. Typically that happens when there's no matching codecs, like if you have an audio and a video codec and we have no matching video codecs, you'll see that on the rejected media type. This email does have a full trace in it, and in this case, what's going on is we are receiving an RTP AVP for audio with crypto in it, and it's attempting to do crypto with an AVP, where the correct way to do that in SIP would be to do it in an SAVP. And we do have a param to make that work. This is an older version of FreeSWITCH, and it looks like that is broken here. So we're incorrectly trying to send our response with SAVP, which doesn't match. I believe this is fixed in master, so my recommendation to her is to go ahead and try this on master. If this reproduces on master, that's definitely a bug, and please file it for me, but I'm pretty sure this is fixed in master already. I'm just trying to see which version this is. This is, I can't see it in here, I'm sorry.
So what should be the takeaway from this is always have the newest version of FreeSWITCH, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And always, before you ask, try it out on the newest version of FreeSWITCH. Please, we fix tons of bugs all the time. In this particular case, you kind of have to know what to look for. But if you see that 0 port in 19 payload type, that does mean we're rejecting it. So you look a little closer. What's happened here is way back when a lot of endpoints incorrectly implemented optional SRTP as sending a crypto in a RTP AVP. And the specs got clarified and everyone realized that you're supposed to send 2 M audio lines, 1 RTP AVP, 1 RTP SAVP for optional. But there's still a ton of things out there that do it wrong. And this is one of those, and we're supposed to reject it. This param is supposed to fix that. It apparently had a bug at some point. So the best way to handle this one is to try it out on master. And if you're still seeing issues, please report a bug to Jira, and we'll dig in and take a look at that.
Yeah, but always make sure you're on master before you submit that bug. That's for sure. Right?
Absolutely. Yes, please.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Not a problem.
And so now we come from you. We're coming from the Camellia World Conference, and we have our guest James. James, would you like to start talking about dangerous demos?
Dangerous demo. Would I like to start talking about dangerous demos? I think I probably would, actually.
So am I going to, what happens? Tell me about dangerous demos. Am I going to get, murdered at dangerous demos? Should I be afraid of it?
Well, you could be, but no, it's much less dangerous than that. So the format is that brave volunteers have 3 minutes to demonstrate something exciting, energetic, electrifying, educational, anything like that. Anything that you want to share with the audience. And normally it'll be technical, and will possibly include Gamma Elo, FreeSWITCH, Asterisk, or something else. And so
just anyone can sign up, right?
Anyone can sign up. You don't actually have to be technical to do it. I mean, there's somebody who's going to get up and just do karaoke for 3 minutes.
Somebody at Astricon demonstrated the charging of a Samsung phone without it blowing up, didn't they? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, it didn't go down particularly well, did it? No.
Yeah, but that did blow up, right?
But Michael, I just should help James here in his explanation of a dangerous demo with what word dangerous means. It has 2 connotations. One is the danger that it's such a convoluted demo in a Tim Panton kind of way that it just might not work. But the other one, perfected by Ben Clang, was the physical danger, because he was doing asterisk-controlled missile launchers, not real missile launchers.
Well, it was real. It was a real one. But it wasn't particularly deadly.
Right. Well, and the wonderful thing about Ben Clang is you can always see him in a crowd because he's always wearing a hat.
That's true. So those are the 2 elements of danger. Either the danger that it won't work or the danger that it might hurt somebody. We've not actually had any blood drawn at dangerous demos yet, I don't think, have we?
Well, we almost had. One person decapitated by a drone, which went.
But that happened right here, 2 years ago.
It did.
Matthew Hodgson with Matrix.
It was Matthew Hodgson with his Matrix.
And he got it to flip, didn't he?
He did, and he was controlling.
Helicopters? What was he doing?
He was controlling a thing using a DTMF keypad on his phone. And of course, he ended up with this massive latency round trip time. And of course, it's difficult to control. And it kind of went rogue and ended up flying into, do you know Dennis, the German?
He
Tried to fly
didn't
into his face.
Well,
Dennis.
well, you don't want to hit a German with a helicopter. That's
Well,
for
no,
sure.
you don't. But Dennis, being
We
a
can
sort
have
of,
a national conflict.
yeah, Dennis is such a cool German. He just reached up and just caught it and pushed it away. Ah, how dare you, your silly helicopter. So that was that. And we have a range of different prizes, which have evolved over time to ensure that the right people get rewarded. So we started off with the most entertaining prize. So that's the overall winner, the one that entertains everybody the best. That's what it's all about, really. But in addition to that, we added a special prize called the Crash and Burn Prize for the most spectacular failure.
And that's always my favorite.
And you know what? We've had some.
Is that the one because that's the one you stand the best chance of winning, Michael?
I believe it is.
Yeah, we've had some brilliant Crash and Burn winners over the years. I think my personal favourite was at a Cluecon about 3 years ago, where we had the great Phil Zimmerman, you know, the 12th most influential person in the history of computers, according to Phil Zimmerman, who completely crashed and burned and everything about his demo went wrong. He was demonstrating the black phone, and he was even holding it upside down on the camera.
Well, that's truly dangerous, holding a phone upside down, because
and it just didn't
twice
work.
as hard to read.
And when it didn't work, the normally cool and very collected, cool as a cucumber, Phil Zimmerman just kind of went to pieces a bit, and that was great because we got it on video. And we'll be having private showings of that, I think, at Cluecon later this year. But anyway, that's the Crash and Burn prize. Always goes down well. But then we decided we wanted to involve the audience a bit, so we designed an audience vote prize.
And so this has always been one of my favorite parts of it, because we always get participants that may or may not put in more than one
Yes.
vote.
Well, in particular, there is one person who has been consistently successful at hacking the voting system.
Who sat behind Mike as we speak.
Yeah, Mr. Alex Kinch.
You can see his little face there.
Alex, you want to pop in for a second and wave?
Put your face into the picture. There we are. There he is. You have to come in a little bit more. So 1 year, in fact,
so as you have a half arm.
We actually built into the voting system a Kinch detector routine, and so when the rogue vote starter came in, you remember it's a big klaxon and a big picture of Alex's face popped up.
What? It was the most unflattering picture taken.
It was deliberately.
When the votes got to more than...
Just so the audience knows, there's no drinking at conferences.
Absolutely no drinking at Camellia World.
This is non-alcoholic Diet Coke.
Apple juice.
2 votes a second from a particular number, and the klaxon went up.
Yes, it did indeed.
And it's been a tradition actually ever since to hack, which this year crashed and burned.
Well, there we are.
It's made a Kinch proof.
Yeah,
until next time.
Until next time. But that's part of the fun, because
But you're going to be in Chicago, and you have the probability of doing it again.
I have already had a post friends to come back.
But of course, it'll all be different next time. There's always this cat and mouse game between. Yeah, Mr. Andy Smith, the master of the tele-voting scheme,
actually wrote the security layer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I believe he's also responsible for the Eurovision. Possibly why it's such a terrible song.
That's probably why UK did so badly. Anyway, moving on. That's the audience vote, which is a huge amount of fun, particularly when you've got big blocks of votes dynamically switching around the place, and people go, "Oh, I've won," and "Oh, no, I've not won anymore." How can that be? And I think we know why, Alex.
My favourite from a couple of years ago was watching your reaction to the grants going away. Just
what is going on here? Yeah. Anyway, so that's that prize, and then we have
the Swan.
The Swan prize. Now, this was actually a prize that was originally devised to give Mr. Anthony Minnesala a chance of winning, because the Swan prize is aimed at the entry that just works perfectly, and it's just graceful, it's beautiful, it just glides across the water. There's no danger whatsoever.
And it's very challenging technology as well.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, there is danger, but it's so graceful that people don't know.
Yeah,
And
you don't know.
And it also signifies the large number of moving parts under the surface, doesn't it?
Indeed. And so originally this was designed to give Anthony a chance, because Anthony is inherently undangerous, non-dangerous, if there's such a word. There isn't.
Dangerous?
No. Safe. Yeah, that's probably. Well, would you call Anthony Minnesala safe?
It's a good job you're here, Michael.
I think we've been in foreign countries too long.
So, and the good news is that at Cluecon last year, Anthony did in fact win the Swan Prize and the most entertaining prize as well.
Wow,
So,
that's amazing.
So until today, there were only 2 people who had ever won a double dangerous demo, and one was Mr. Tim Panton.
To be expected.
Well, he's had enough goes, enough failures and crashes and burns, and the other one was Anthony Minnesala. But today,
Mac.
unbelievably, we had another double dangerous demo winner, didn't we?
We did.
In the form of Mr. Matt Hendricks, who was a first-time Camarillo World attendee from Detroit.
Mm.
And he put together a dangerous demo, then decided he wasn't going to do it. But that's not the way it works with dangerous demos. If your name goes on the list, you have to do it. So he was hiding at the back, and he got called out, and he went, "Oh, I'm not doing it." I said, "Yes, you are, Mac." And he did it. And not only did he do it, but it worked really well, and he was entertaining, and he won 2 prizes.
Do you know, my favourite dangerous demo today was the, I'm not going to name who it was, but the Invisibility.
Yes, there was two members of the FreeSWITCH community who had indicated that they were going to do a dangerous demo, and then they donned a certain Darren Schreiber's cloak of invisibility and disappeared. But we couldn't possibly name and shame.
It's almost like they were behind a net or something.
Yeah. So
did they not appear the whole day?
No, they ran away. They were scared. Well, but anyway, so that was interesting, and then we had a couple of extra prizes, didn't we?
The Asterisk Prize.
The Asterisk Prize, yes, very generously donated by Digium.
One Digium.
And what was the prize?
It was a wonderful Asterisk phone. Everybody went berserk for it, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Created a lot of a buzz in the room.
And in fact, those Asterisk phones are quite notable because of their low price tag.
Very low price tag.
And pretty high quality too.
And colour displays. The buzz in the room wasn't confirmed. Yes. We didn't have to kind of wiggle the wire or anything, did we?
No, it's amazing. All those young children in Vietnam working night and day to bring them to Digium
yes,
users.
And that went to EvoSip, didn't it?
EvoSip, yeah.
Who ran up? Didn't they run up some Docker instance with something else in it?
Against the clock. Now that sort of demo has been done before, but
by EvoSip probably.
Well, the last big winner was actually Emil Evov.
The Gypsy Man.
Yeah, the Gypsy Man, who did that at Cluecon again.
Very smart guy.
Yeah. So
David, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of, and you've been on the show a bunch of times, right?
And I'm a one-time dangerous demo winner at Cluecon. People may remember that I had an dangerous demo powered by a FreeSWITCH battery at the time, thus bringing the 2 projects into French.
And the battery did not explode magically.
And I have to tell you that at one stage, Michael was going to do a dangerous demo demonstrating the incendiary and explosive capabilities of the FreeSWITCH battery pack. But you bottled out, didn't you?
Yeah, I was.
Well, it was still just in the theory stage. Maybe we'll do that in Chicago.
I think we'll have to.
We'll have an entry.
I'd like to point out that the year I won it was the year of the safe FreeSWITCH battery pack.
The metal one.
Yes.
Not the black plastic one.
That's right.
Which Sharon very dutifully collected them all up, apart from the one that I've got in my bag over there.
What happened with the black ones? I don't even...
I've got one.
Oh, do you have it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Are you going to play with it?
Yeah, I have. Look, Sharon, this is one that you didn't get. And now I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble.
So was there if there was an official FreeSWITCH recall of the FreeSWITCH battery pack? Is that what occurred?
Well, I must have missed that.
Have you ever actually lit the wick on it and had it charging
Well, I'll
up?
tell you what, it does get quite warm.
Well, you know what? In the end,
Actually, in the cold
listen,
winters
these
in the
battery
UK,
packs are all really good because they are way safer than some of the cell phones we have out there.
I think you're probably right. Yes,
Yeah.
rated at 3,000 milliamp hours by somebody.
Yes.
Anyway, I'll just put that very safely there. So what else? Oh, we were going to talk about the winners, weren't we? Who won? Apart from Mac Hendricks got 2. EvoSip got a Digium 1. Lorenzo with the hair. Lorenzo Miniero.
That's the one.
He's got some really impressive technology there, right?
He's got some very impressive hair as well.
Was he the Swan winner?
He was the Swan winner, yeah, because he was demonstrating Janus WebRTC stuff.
Yeah.
So what is it
with the overlay?
What exactly is, so for the audience, what exactly is Janus?
Yes. No, come on. No, you know I've been eating the gummy bears, don't you? And whenever I eat gummy bears, particularly with a bit of apple juice, I'm totally useless. No, it's WebRTC, but it's WebRTC Gateway, yeah. And it's very lightweight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like almost like a platform, right? Like very simple.
And we've seen it appear in a number of dangerous demos in the past. So, for example, it's really good with things like Raspberry Pis and
right. And it's an SSU, right?
Yeah, and Tim Panton uses it every other demo because
whether it's needed or not.
Indeed, he just likes to put it in there, and it's really good stuff. And in fact, Lorenzo is looking forward to having a debate with Anthony about doing things with video. Because,
well, that would be the old school debate of the differences between an SFU and an MCU.
Well, yeah, and lightweight against heavy duty. Let's grab the media and manipulate it.
Right, but then it's not just it's not about weight and whatnot. It's also about efficiency of bandwidth.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so when you lump everything together, you're not burning as much bandwidth.
Different courses. Anyway, let's not go down that one. We seem to be having a go at everybody. We're supposed to be talking about dangerous demos. So who else got the other prize? There was somebody else got a prize. Who was it?
It wasn't Alex from Homer. I felt sorry for him. He didn't win a prize. He did
that's Alexander Scooby-Dov.
Dubrovnikov?
No, I know who it was. Yeah, from Homer, who always does a stunning demo, and he has a inside track because he's capable of speaking twice as fast as anybody else, so he gets more words in and just goes quicker. And that was a pretty impressive display, but there were others. No, the one we missed was the Crash and Burn, wasn't it? It was the Crash, and the Crash and Burn winner was
Carsten the Rock Bock.
Well, Carsten Bock first, yeah. And he wanted
from Zipwise.
No,
from NG Voice.
NG
Voice.
Yeah,
I was going like that. I was pointing at
over there. That's where he.
NG Voice.
Anyway, his demo was to take a totally unplanted Android handset from the audience.
From somebody who'd never met before.
Somebody he had never met. Well, for the last 5 minutes anyway. And then put a SIM in it and get it working VoLTE, so it's voice over LTE, which is SIP VoIP, but embedded in the phone, off his own illegal cell here in the hall.
Which he asked us not to mention.
Yeah, we just managed to mention that. Yeah, so the German regulator would not be watching dangerous demos, we hope. And but unfortunately, he got this handset. And
meanwhile, Deutsche Telekom just drops.
He got this handset, and it was really glorious because he couldn't get the SIM tray out. So he got
the wrong diameter of pin.
And his pin wouldn't go in the thing, and he couldn't get the SIM out. And then he went to his fallback plan was to put it in his phone, which then that didn't work either. And the whole thing was quite a glorious crash and burn.
It did crash and it did burn.
Yeah, it did. And so he got a most deserving crash and burn prize. So anyway, let's move forward and look forward to Cluecon in Chicago.
Well, hold on, you can't get to Cluecon until you've gone to ComCon.
Oh yes. Should we talk about ComCon? Michael, you're going to ComCon, aren't you?
I will be there, and as well as Mike Jarvis is actually doing a presentation as well.
Yes.
Two mics from the FreeSWITCH team at one place.
We do.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, I don't know.
Double miking.
It is stereo mic. There we go. What we're going to do is we're going to walk around to people, and each one of us will scream in the other person's ear and see how they react.
A 3D screening. And you're going to be there, David, aren't
I'm
you?
going to be at ComCon too.
And, oh, I'm going to be there too.
And I've heard Dan Jenkins is going to be there at some stage.
Well,
I hope so, because it's his event.
yeah, and it's going to be brilliant, I think, because unlike a lot of the other events, this is designed a bit like a World War II prison camp, so you can't get out. So you...
Well, either that or it's just a beautiful English map.
I know, it's the way we sell it. But no, seriously, it's in a 5-star Georgian hotel in the heart of the beautiful Surrey countryside. So it's not like a World War II prison camp at all. I don't know where that came from. That's total rubbish. It's probably the gummy bears.
Gummy bears talking.
It's a social prison camp because we'll just be hanging out with each other.
That's right. You can't run away for an early flight or go out.
I will be leaving for an early flight to America on the last day.
James is trying to say is this is not actually right. It's a kind of little bit in the middle of nowhere. It's all inclusive.
Yes.
Everybody goes to the social events.
So it's like a religious sect is what you're saying.
No, it's more Downton Abbey than religious sect.
Right.
So, more like a cult?
No, I think more inclusive Thomas holiday.
Yeah, but it's going to be hugely fun, I think.
Maybe that's the way Dan should market it next year. All-inclusive conferences.
The all-inclusive telecom cult.
Yeah, and just getting my own plug in, I'm going to be demonstrating how to build your very own LTE network.
That's one of the things I love about this conference.
Well, bizarrely,
there's so much emphasis on mobile here.
Yes.
Right, and that's one of the things that sets it really apart from all the other conferences is, we talk a lot about mobile and IMS and that type of stuff, and every once in a while we get to talk about technologies like blockchain.
Well, that's a good segue there, but are we going to go into Michael now, or are we going to talk about Cluecon?
Cluecon is 3 weeks after ComCon.
Yes, it is. Earlier this year.
I would just like to say that you can't mention IMS.
So I'm just never going to be home for the next 6 months. That's really what's going to happen.
It's probably what it's going to be like.
Anyway, so I think we ought to segue into Michael. Are you ready to be segued into Michael? Take a deep breath.
So how do we? The thing is, we have this enormous technology like blockchain, and so you have all these people that are kind of trying to do new and interesting things with it. And I was actually, when we were down at IT Expo, I heard about a really interesting one where they were trying to build demographics for healthcare records and stuff like that. And that's a pretty good use. But there's also some really bad uses out there.
Well,
but hearing yours, I mean, that's kind of cool too. So.
There's kind of some unrealistic uses for it out there. So I gave a talk here about how blockchain works with telephony, or could work in the space of telephony, and mostly right now it can't. I mean, it's just not fast enough. But that's kind of how voice over IP started too. It was really kind of junk. You'd have some online dialer application, and you could call someone, and the audio was awful, and it cut out and died, and but that didn't make that didn't make everybody write off the idea that voice over IP is a failure. They understood that the underlying technology just wasn't quite there, the bandwidth wasn't quite there, and so there's a future for it, but it wasn't quite ready. But the idea itself wasn't a bad idea. It just hadn't quite come of age yet. And so,
right. And the other thing is that lots of people leapt in, and lots of people failed.
Well, for the same reasons, because there was buzz behind it, and they knew they could make, like, we have a voice over IP solution. Okay, it's worth a lot of money. There's going to be someone that's interested in it. Suddenly, maybe your company gets bought, and maybe the underlying technology that you're actually delivering is junk. Maybe because
And that's happened a bunch of times.
it's a lot of small companies moving quickly, trying to build something, trying to get attention, trying to produce a product, and the bigger companies, start their R&D engines 2 years too late, and they end up buying all the small companies, and some of the small companies didn't have any value. So the same thing with blockchain is only more problematic because you can raise money directly on these initial coin offerings. And so a lot of people have done fraud on the initial coin offerings where they write a white paper and say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And people read it and say, that sounds amazing. Oh, totally. We should do that. And let's bring as much money as we can. When, if you understand how blockchain works, the speeds that it can achieve, the transactions per second, the underlying possibility that is actually there, some of these white papers are complete fabrications, or they offer zero details at all, and it's entirely marketing fluff.
So
but they can still raise their money, and there's no regulation, and then that gives the whole space this really bad vibe.
So I actually, that's what I was just talking about is the regulatory environment. So this is with blockchain, we've seen governments just come in at such an unbelievable pace and try to regulate them, and it's much different than a lot of the other technologies that occurred out there. And so one of the things that's happening in the US is essentially you can't even have a product or a service that really incorporates blockchain unless you have a regulatory you achieve a regulatory environment. And that's not even within just the financial sector. It's just anything, just storing records and that type of stuff.
I think if you do an ICO, then you're subject to the regulatory restrictions that they've placed there. So there's only a few countries that are friendly to it, and like Estonia and Switzerland, and that's it.
Right now we have Daniel, and so he's the principal author of Camilio and the person who is put together the conference. And so I think he's going to come in and talk about Camilio a little bit. And so let's really talk about this, because I am one of the biggest defenders of this. I can never say it properly. Camilio.
Come on. That's wrong.
I know it's wrong. And there's been so many times that we've had conversations, and so you come in and you say, as we're talking, you'll say, I'll say it my way, and then you say it the way it's supposed to be said. But the thing is, I can't. It's just it's like a mind block for me. I can't get it right, and I keep on trying, and I'm sorry for that. But we could try to do it for our viewers.
So it's Camilio, a bit with a short break in the middle. But if you want to pronounce, it would be like Camilio. A break because it's like phonetic. It's from Hawaiian language. So it's our dream to get invited in Hawaii by the governor there and say, guys, we are so proud you choose a Hawaiian name there. But yeah, it's the name. Sometimes it's hard to choose. Now we have more domains, but back in 2008 we don't have to choose. You have to look for like .com, .org to be free, so open source, but not having the .com free for people or other companies to kind of pretend they are the commercial option for that. And then, because actually we had to rename because of trademark issues, then you had to check. At least European Union and the US, there are no trademarks related. Actually, the meaning of this word is the verb for conversation, so to talk, to converse.
So that's really that's great though, because
so actually, like if you search on Google, let's speak Hawaiian in the Hawaiian language, like something with Camilio inside. So.
Right, and so with signaling we have dialogues, right? And so for speaking, it's essentially the same thing. So it seems
to be related. I haven't actually proposed this name. I was actually not really proposing much name because I didn't have a big inspiration. It was proposed by another guy in the community.
Klaus Darillion.
So David here knows well. And And for me, it was like, you spend like 3 months searching for a name, and then you find one that looks good. Of course, some people like it. It's not something like you have to prove mathematically, or you can say, okay, technically this is right or good. It's like color you like or taste of food or so. And then what I said, I don't actually marry with Camaillo, so to pronounce it every day. If it's not crashing, then I'm happy. It could be any name. And I think also David sometimes feels the pain when he goes to France, right? Because aesthetic sounds like, the
Asterisk, the goal.
yeah.
I've trained myself to say asterisk all the time, but other people do say asterisks.
But with the French, pronunciation sounds more like the cartoon character. So you cannot. I mean, I've seen other open source projects that did it sometimes more.
So you've had a new major release come out recently.
And it was a few months ago, and quite a lot of new features. So practically, what I spoke here in the first day was about these languages that you can use now more advanced. They existed there, but now you can Python, Lua, JavaScript, ones. Because we were a bit struggling, we developed our scripting language from scratch, and there is a lot of knowledge that you have to give away in terms of what this scripting language can do. Not in terms of C routing, but in terms of the operation you can do. You need to merge like a prefix to a number or strip and so on. Like this would be still operation. And this is not like void telephony related, and you don't put accent on this kind of documentation, but still are very useful. And people needed a bit of period to learn this while going like Python or Lua documentation out there, way more tutorials. Because actually a lot of people gave feedback, and some of them already started to use it. So this was like a major shift from the something as and then yes, voice over LT, Android.
Yeah, I found that very interesting, that speech.
Yeah, I think the organizer is the worst. And a big shout out for again. We have the first 2 days uploaded, all the session YouTube, Camaillo World channel, so search there, and practically 6 days I'm gonna relax and watch the recordings. So because a lot of it's a lot of things that I learn here. I don't have time to spend with console. I don't have time to spend with this testing frameworks like Buster for Lua and so on, and all these guys just
blockchain
or blockchain, of course. I need to do the ICO and that and get rich. But no, I think this was more like amazing event of sharing the really good experiences that people already
Daniel, you have to speak up a little bit.
Okay, so maybe my voice is already tired.
It's all that shouting, Daniel, trying to herd everybody into the right direction at the conference.
Yeah. Okay, so
I mean, what's great about having Lua in there is you can really make things just so dynamic, so much better, and so much more flexible than previous, because essentially you have a language in there, and you can access it and do anything you could. You could do essentially anything. There's a lot more flexibility, and really it's gonna. I can't wait to see. There's already some implementations like the test units and that type of stuff, and that's really like that stuff was really interesting. But I mean, I think that's just the beginning. I mean, there's some.
The beginning, but having the support of the community and contribution from others means it's the right direction, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's,
so I think we're going to see a lot of really great things with that type of stuff. And then the other thing I got to tell you, I thought was really impressive, and I don't know, maybe it's just because it's kind of leans into, you know, my thing is the with the timers on the options and stuff like that, and like that's neat.
Getting excited about timers on options.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean
Session timer mic.
but it is like that. I found that, and it's just it's a small feature set in the whole scheme of things. But you know, that's the type of stuff that because I find really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, in terms of like summary of the event, probably James in more session than me. As I said, I'm gonna spend a couple of days relaxing a bit and watching most of the recordings. The topics, all of them, the feedback from the people I discussed with were all very happy and with the content. So not only the environment overall, but the content of the conference. And I'm glad somehow it's as an organizer, when it's finished and everything, it's
Happy smiley face.
happy smiling.
Absolutely.
You can breathe
Yeah.
a sigh of relief, can't you?
Yeah, I kind of said it. The new year starts for me tomorrow because it's like
So every time I come here, what happens is I go back home and I get all sad because I don't get to see all my friends, but it's all the input that I get from here always starts big dev cycles. And I think that all these people that come to these conferences, there's so much to be learned. There's so much information to be had and so much content that's, you find out all the new stuff. That's the benefit of attending these things.
maybe James can start on this.
Yeah, let's have that one. Hang on to that one. What I find really great about Camilo World and Cluecon these days is that we have all of the communities representatives. So we got FreeSWITCH, we have Asterisk, we have Camailio, all working together to the common good, which I think is absolutely brilliant.
Because in the end, it's all open source. It's all telephony
We're all
open.
on the same side, aren't we?
Yeah. We are all on the same
And we all need to work together.
Yeah.
It's all exciting stuff. So, and Daniel, you are to be applauded because once again you have managed almost single-handedly, it seems, to put together.
Daniel.
No, he's got a lot of contributors. The high five.
Yeah, but actually it's a bigger team behind. I'm here, and actually I like to get a bit more personal with everyone instead of like getting on the other people because I know the people, and it's good to interact and also present the speakers and have.
But you were everywhere. You were comparing. You even did a dangerous demo.
And there's a little bit of comedy crept into his routine this year as well.
And then when you're not doing that, you're going up and down with a trolley collecting the tables after your event. Is there anything you don't do?
No, yeah, that was because I wanted to have more time at the end to speak with the people, because otherwise I had some guys helping at the end. But yeah, I'm kind of getting involved in everything because if you want to do it right, you have to do it yourself, right? Including your own car or your bicycle, right? Always, when you buy one, you kind of change something quickly to it, right?
And then when you break it, you go to the experts, and that's where the different consulting
actually
comes.
To give proper credits to the Fraunhofer Focus and Fraunhofer Forum, they are really good organizers here. So apart as usual, wireless issues and things like that, you can't really usual stuff, but the rest is kind of German machinery.
And actually, we should give full credit to Passcom for the live video.
Yeah, I already
the live video,
amazing.
So all of that will be up on YouTube.
The first 2 days are already, and the other one probably by midnight.
Yeah, and there is some really good material on there, which will be a good reference going forward.
Well, like you said, I mean, I may have missed one or two things, and so I go back home and I watch all of them. I do, and then I go and I rewind a little bit, and then listen to it again, and sooner or later it sinks into my head.
Yeah, so these days you can't do a good conference without the video and the streaming that goes with it. So
yeah, it's actually also encouraging to see, because some people are afraid, okay, you do recording or live streaming, and some people don't, then they don't participate. But actually we have like full room the past editions, and then still people come here because there is still value on site. And this is actually helping them because they say, okay, I can stay in the hallway area and chat with the other people if I found an interesting connection, and still watch the ones you missed later. So they don't blame us like, oh, guys, you stream it, I pay to come on site, and so on. So the value is actually not always like watching the presentation.
It's the interactions with all the people.
In fact, that's
Yeah.
my point. That's why we come to things like this. It's not so much the presentations, even though the presentations are brilliant. It's all about the people, isn't
The
it?
presentations often stimulate the conversation, don't they?
Yeah.
At the break or
Wow,
Exactly.
and you have the best and the brightest in the industry that come to these things, and it is that is the power of open source, because you get so close to the developers, and I say this all the time: you're never going to go to Microsoft and actually, or a company like Microsoft, sorry, you're never going to go that and actually speak to the people that are committing the code, because the people committing the code that are people that understand the code the greatest, and can lend the greatest advice.
And for me, coming to these things, it's always about meeting people I've never met before, and people with talents, and you certainly do that. Remember Cluecon last year remember I came and sat next to you, and I said, no, I'm not going to sit next to you in the pizza place. I'm going to go and find somebody I haven't sat next to before. And across on the other table was Fred from Uganda. Remember that?
that was just one of many excuses that people have used not to sit next to me, James.
Okay, guys, I will kind of have to leave because we need to close some facilities here.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank you for coming in.
You can stay here, but I have to pick up some stuff from another place. It's gonna be closed by
And you're
8.
going to be going to ComCon, aren't you?
ComCon,
And
Cluecon,
Cluecon.
Astricon.
ClueCon.
And Astricon I'm gonna be for sure there, and Cluecon last year I missed. Astricon was better timing last year, but this year I'll be ComCon, Cluecon, and Astricon. So guys, count on me for those.
Well, and thank you for such an amazing conference. I mean, this is absolutely the best.
Brilliant. Thank you.
See you next time, guys. So,
I'm going to need to go before too long as well.
Yes, you haven't finished your Coca-Cola yet. Anyway, go on, Mike.
Okay, so let's talk about Cluecon.
Yes, let's look forward.
So we do have dangerous demos coming up again at Cluecon.
Yes, but there's a whole load of other stuff going on as well.
Yes, there is.
But dangerous demos is just one of those things that just makes it for me. I know Sharon is trying extremely hard to get people to register beforehand, but you know what? People never ever do.
But there are some deals. So we have some deals, and the sooner, the sooner you register, the bigger discount you get.
Well, yeah, that is very clever, and it's not only a better deal, but you get more tickets and stuff in your pack when you arrive.
You mean the opportunity to win?
The opportunity to win. One of the amazing things about Cluecon is the amount of swag that gets distributed reasonably evenly across the floor,
and all of which is safe.
Well, most of which is.
Here, I feel I need to give a big shout out to Telnix.
Very safe.
Telnix are pretty good at making swag that people want.
Oh yeah, the famous Telnix battery packs, the non-exploding ones, they're very good.
The universal mains thingy, USB Type-C, they've got all the gear going on.
Yes.
Well, if I was to bet on it, I think we're going to see some really good swag this year.
I hope so. What else can we say about Cluecon?
It's got a great family feel.
Oh yes, the family business.
Yeah, obviously the family, but just the whole event.
Wait, what do you mean by family? Like it's starting to sound like La Cosa Nostra a little bit over here.
It's very inclusive. Do you remember last year in the hackathon? They had like a non-tech hackathon as well, didn't they? So the people, the weren't developers,
the youngsters,
yeah, they could have fun.
And that was actually quite a lot of fun. Actually, just being able to sit back and watch that without having to worry. But great.
So I think we've announced a whole bunch of the speakers. We have a lot of interesting speakers coming in this year. And
can you think of one or two highlight speakers? Putting you on the spot.
Well, I think in the last round of 5, I think Mark Crane was one of them.
Which one?
Mark Crane.
Mark Crane, Fusion now.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first ones to be announced in the first batch.
And I always look forward to your speeches.
Excited about that.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, I need to exit, so I'm going to casually move away, hoping that nobody notices. It's been great spending time with you all.
Can I have your ear?
You can.
Thank you.
Till next time.
Well, thank you for coming in, David.
But I come sit next to you, actually. No. So, well, that about wraps it from Berlin, doesn't it?
I believe it does. From Berlin with love.
Well, there's one more thing that you guys can mention, and that's we've got a lot of great sponsors for Cluecon this year, but Sharon still has sponsorship opportunities open. And so if you want to get in on those, email marketing.
I want to be a sponsor.
And how do you be a sponsor, Michael? Do you know?
I already am a sponsor.
Right, but how did you get to be your sponsor? How did you get?
What did I do?
So
that's actually that's an interesting question. So essentially, I started out as a little sponsor, and as the time went by,
little sponsors grow into big sponsors.
Right. And so what happened was my business grew as I did more and more sponsorship. And so
It's funny that, isn't it?
Right. But if you wanted to be a sponsor now and you haven't been a sponsor before, do you know how to get in touch with Sharon so that you can ask her those questions?
So we would send an email to marketing@cluecon.com.
There we go. Yep. Email her, or there's a telephone number on the Cluecon website you can call.
Okay, so back to you, Ken.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, James. So we've had a good week with those guys there in Berlin. So big shout out to them. You guys have fun on the rest of your time there. So we'll be back here next week, guys. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Hit that subscribe button down below. It's right over here somewhere. If you click that, there's also a little check box with a bell on it. If you check that box also, you'll get the alert so you know when we're going live. You know when we post new videos. They'll pop up and send you an email and various other mechanisms, so don't forget to do that. We'll be back here next week, so you guys come join us then. Thank you.
You've been watching Cluecon Weekly. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central. Keep up with the latest happenings by subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or visit us at FreeSWITCH.com.